Have you ever just stopped and wondered, where do my feelings actually come from? I mean, what even is an emotion when you get right down to it?
So, are emotions something that just happen to you, or are they something you actively create? We're going to dive right into that, because honestly, the answer could completely change how you see yourself, and your entire life, really.
All right, to even begin to answer that question, we have to go way, way back. We have to look at what emotions were for in the first place. And their original job? It was simple, just keeping us alive.
Yeah, see, emotions are basically these ancient programs. Their whole purpose is to fire off these complex, life-saving behaviors without us even having to think about it. So they're not just feelings. They're more like a powerful, hardwired survival engine. This is the software that helped our ancestors make it through a very dangerous world. And here's a perfect example. Imagine you're one of our ancestors. You hear a rustle in the bushes. Before you can even process what it might be, bam! Instant fear floods your system, stress hormones go wild, your muscles tense up, and you're already running. You're executing an escape plan before your conscious brain even knows what's happening. I mean, think about it. There's no time to sit and make a pro-con list when a predator might be lurking. Fear just takes the wheel. And that's the thing, right? We've all felt that. That racing heart, the pit in your stomach. It's so clear that emotions are a full-body experience. They're not just thoughts floating around in our heads.
So when you feel something really strong, your brain basically becomes a conductor for this whole-body orchestra. It sends out chemical messengers, stuff like adrenaline and cortisol, and suddenly your heart's pounding, your senses are sharp, your muscles are tight, your entire body is put on high alert, ready for whatever's coming next.
But are these chemicals the cause of the emotion itself? It's super tempting to think so, right? We even talk that way. Oh, my cortisol is so high, that's why I'm stressed. But that's like looking at one tiny piece of a giant, complex puzzle.
I love this quote. Saying chemicals cause emotion is like saying oil is the reason a car gets to its destination. It's just part of the process. It's a perfect analogy. The chemicals? Yeah, they're the fuel. They're the oil in the engine. They are absolutely critical. But they are not the driver. They're not the one deciding where the car is going.
Okay, so if it's not the chemicals, then what is the real architect of our emotions? This is where it gets really, really interesting.
It turns out emotions aren't the cause of anything. They are the consequence. They're the final product. Think of it like a printout from a computer. The emotion is the piece of paper that comes out, but it's not the original data that was typed in.
So what's the recipe? Well, your mind is constantly taking in information from the outside world. But here's the key. It doesn't just see it for what it is. It runs everything through this personal filter, a filter made up of your memories, your judgments, your deepest core beliefs about how the world works. And what comes out the other side of that filter? That's the emotion.
Let me give you a perfect example of this in action. Picture this. A person is eating their favorite sandwich in the whole world. I mean, they're feeling pure joy, pure delight. They've had the sandwich a dozen times. It's just bliss.
But then a friend leans over and says, "You know that's made of pork, right?" Now let's say this person's core beliefs forbid eating pork. Instantly, that delicious flavor becomes disgusting. The physical sensation completely changes. And here's the mind-blowing part. Nothing about the sandwich itself changed. The molecules were the same. The only thing that changed was a piece of information that got filtered through a belief. And that one thing transformed their entire reality from joy to disgust in a split second.
So what does that little story tell us? It reveals this incredible, almost superpower that we all have. If our beliefs are what create our emotions, then that means we can change our emotions by changing our beliefs. And this is what we really mean by free will. It's the ability to stop, to hit pause on our automatic reactions, and actually question the thoughts and beliefs that are triggering our feelings in the first place. It's about becoming the architect of your own inner world.
So you can look at it in two ways. There's the passive view, right? My feelings just happen, events make me angry, I'm just an angry person. Or there's the architect view. My beliefs create my feelings. My judgment of events is what matters. I can change the thoughts that lead to my anger. It's the difference between being a passenger on a roller coaster, just getting thrown around, and being the one who designs the whole ride.
And this ability, this art of feeling and shaping our inner world, it's not just some self-help trick. This might be the very thing that makes us human.
So check this out.
Neuroscientists have actually found a physical link for this. It turns out that people who really engage with art, music, painting, whatever, they often have a more developed part of the brain called the insula.
And this is what's so wild about the insula. It has this dual role. On one hand, it handles super primal, survival stuff, like the sensation of taste or that gut feeling of disgust that keeps you from eating spoiled food. But on the other hand, that exact same spot in your brain is what lights up when you feel aesthetic pleasure, when you appreciate music, when you're moved by a painting.
So what does that suggest? It suggests that for us humans, beauty and art aren't just some luxury, some add-on. They are as vital to our nature as survival itself. It's wired into the same hardware.
It's even baked into our name. We're called Homo sapiens, and sapiens comes from the Latin word sapiare, which doesn't just mean to know, it means to taste or to savor. So we're not just the species that knows, we're the species that can savor the experience of life.
So, if all this is true, if you really are the architect of your own emotions, what will you choose to build? You hold the blueprints. Your feelings aren't just random weather passing through. They are the house you are building, one belief at a time. The only real question is, what kind of world do you want to live in?